Hey, what's up, everybody? How are you guys doing today, man? I'm very, very happy to be back here today. It's good to see everybody. Everybody who is watching outside there, how are you guys doing? How is your day? How is your year? How is your life? All right. On my side, thank God, this is the year of completeness here at SNOA Foundation. And every single day as days pass, we see that completeness that is happening. And all glory to God for everything that is happening. Always do not forget to give back glory to God, because everything that happens is for Him and for Him alone. All right. Us being here is for Him and for Him alone. So I return all the glory, honor, and praise to Him who has given us strength, has given us health. And right now we can talk, we can communicate, we can connect, and do all those kind of stuff. It's all because of Him. Yeah, and I feel like the angle of this video is not right. Do you guys feel the same thing? I feel like this is not right. So let me try to shift a little bit. All right, let me do that. I believe now it should be fine. Okay, let me do that. Yes, now it should be fine. So let me say that once again, guys. Always remember to give glory back to God. All right, He is the reason why we're here. He's the reason why we have this mission. He's the reason why you all see all these great heroes. Do you see this t-shirt, guys? Let's take a moment, first of all, to appreciate this t-shirt. This was the gift from my beautiful sister for my 30th birthday, all right? You see there, I see Kwame Nkrumah, I see Mandela, I see Nyerere, I see Magufuli right there. I see Haile Selassie, I see, Che Guevara, I see this Sankara, I see Malcolm X down there, all right? I see Lumumba, all right? And what is this? Oh man, anyways, but this is the t-shirt that is full. It's just full of African history. All African heroes, inside and outside, they are on this t-shirt, all right? Now, most of them, not all of them, but all these, my sister gave me this for my birthday, and every time I wear this, it reminds me of the fights that our forefather fought so hard to bring about unity to this continent. All these people you see here, they believe in that. And they fought for the dignity and honor of Black people. And let me say this, guys, we don't even need to fight for that, because it's there. You know it, I know it, it's there. We don't need to fight for that. This time, God has been teaching me something very crucial, very important. He has been really teaching me about the real, my identity as an African, where I'm coming from. Who am I? Man, the moment you understand who you are and your identity as an African, you will never look down on yourself. And you'll never stop shouting and talking to people and telling them who they are in God's eyes. It's not in the human eyes. It's not in the Western eyes. It's not in people's eyes, but in God's eyes, who they are. Who are you? Do you really know who you are? What is your name? When I'm asking you what is your name, if you ask me what is your name, I ain't going to tell you my name is Mika. That's not what I'm asking. Name that it was given to you. But do you know who you are? When you were born, one day you realized that, oh, I'm born and my name is Mika. Why? Because it was given to you. That name was given to you by somebody. But do you know who you are? Someone else named you, and kudos to my parents, my dad and my mom. They gave me a beautiful name, Mika. They named me. And I've been living under that identity of the name that I've been given by my dad and my mom. But do I really know who am I? Do you understand that? That's a deep message that I need to step there for a while. Do you really know who you are? Forget about you. If I ask you, what is your name? Are you going to tell me the name that you have right now, the name that the name that your parents named you? Who are you? What is your name? Who are you? What is your name? I think this has to be another session, a whole other session. But this is to tell you that there's a freedom, there's a breakthrough in understanding who you are. Because the moment you understand who you are, the moment I'm sorry, guys. The moment you know who are you, who you are, the moment you begin to live your life, the moment you become free, the moment you lose fear, I said this before, that the true change will only come if we get rid of the fear, because that fear stops us from going extra mile to do something extraordinary. Just because I fear something, just because I fear somebody, and I say this: do not fear anybody but God. I do not fear no man but God Himself, who gave me the identity of who am I. Who are you? God, I thank you for a beautiful day today. It's just such an amazing day that we're here to discuss, to talk about Pan-Africanism. A lot of us, we heard this term. A lot of us, we've known, we have listened, but maybe we don't really understand what it's all about. So today, we ask for your grace to understanding and your presence revealing. And we're asking for your word, because your word changes everything. Through your word, you created this universe. And through your word, you're going to bring us together today. In your precious name, Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen. All right, guys. So without wasting time, I'm not here today alone. I have my brother here. My brother, Yohani Imani Paul. This is my brother. I've started to communicate with him a long time ago when I was in South Korea. And we were planning something actually to do in Ethiopia. This brother, he's in Ethiopia right now, and he is the founder of one community, Ethiopia Swahili community. And he has been doing tremendous work in Ethiopia to make sure that people, they learn Swahili, to spread that language, because in our countries you find people learning Chinese, English, French, German. It's not a bad thing, but what about our local languages as well? It's a time for us to learn each other's language as well. So they're doing tremendous job in Ethiopia right now to just teach and to just do that. So I'm really honored, and today is not the first time for me to have him. I'm really honored to have him here in the session with us, and we're just gonna dive in to talk about a lot of stuff. So ladies and gentlemen, here is Ethiopia Swahili community. My brother, Yohani, what's up, man?
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank God I'm doing great. It's good to see you. It's been a minute. It's been a while.
It's been a while, man, but I'm doing good. Thanks to God, as we were saying. Without God, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we will not be able to do much, or we will not be able to accomplish much. So we always give glory to God, because this is the season, and the area or location also is very, very important. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I'm not ashamed. I'm not afraid. And if for me, I believe that if we want to see the change, we need to put God first. We need to put God first, because He put us here for a purpose, and the mission and what we do, man. Me and you, what we do, we do quite similar work, and you know how much we sacrifice and all those stuff, and like nobody can just do that. Like sleep today and wake up tomorrow, be like, okay, I'm gonna be doing this. No. Unless you have that calling, unless you have that passion, unless you have that purpose. So I know that's what it's all about. Me and you and a lot of other people who are doing quite the similar thing. So I just want to applaud you for everything that you're doing there in Ethiopia. I think my brother is having a little bit of trouble there. He'll be back in a few seconds. Let me put him back here. Yeah. So guys, if you're joining right now, I want you guys to do me a favor and at least let me know where you're watching from, where you're joining from. It's very important to know that, and I will appreciate that. I'll appreciate that. Let me know that. And also, if you can, copy this link and share with somebody. We have really amazing time today. I appreciate all the see people there joining. Marit, John, all the way from Kenya. I appreciate my brother. Sai Fadi, Sherif, and the new person here, Shabaka. Shabaka, man, appreciate. I love your name, by the way. Shabaka, what's the meaning of Shabaka? What's the meaning of Shabaka, my brother? What's the meaning of Shabaka? I would love to know that. Pan-Africanism with Ethiopia. I want to add a little bit. here. Let me see if this can change. I'm changing the title here a little bit. I'm adding something. Hopefully it can change. Ah, come on. I can't do that. Okay, then I need to stop there. Yeah. So everybody who is joining, please let me know where you're joining from. I'd appreciate to know where you're joining from so that I may shout out your names and whatever you are. I'm still waiting for my brother. He's fixing something little quick, and he'll be back here in a second. Everything is under control. So today we're going to talk about Pan-Africanism, and the reason why we want to talk about this, I know a lot of people. I mean, it's a common thing right now to hear from everywhere, in Africa and outside of Africa. It's a normal thing, but do we really understand, the meaning of Pan-Africanism? Do we really understand the historical background? Do we really understand all those kind of stuff? So it's very important to have this conversation, and there's no anyone, we can have this conversation with a lot of people, but today we're going to start with my brother, Yohani Imani, who is the founder of Ethiopia Swahili Community. All right, right there. I'm just adding the title there. Okay, that's beautiful. Now it's good. So yeah, still waiting for my brother. I think there's good. I'll just leave it there. I'd love for you guys to see this t-shirt. So that's what we're going to talk about. All right. Without wasting time, I have my brother Yohani, Ethiopian Swahili Community. It's Ethiopian. No, I thought Ethiopia Swahili Community. Yes, my brother.
Yeah, so thank you. My camera is disturbing me, so I decided to use my my laptop camera. I don't know if it seems good or not, but
yeah,
the other one is still disturbing me.
Actually, this one is much better. It looks better.
Oh, really? Okay, no problem.
Yeah, you look much better.
Okay, very good. So anyhow, so thank you so much, and sorry for that. You guys, these are technical stuff, so it may happen here and there. So anyhow, so my name is Imani Yohani Paulo. For those who are joining us, I'm here in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Ethiopian Swahili Community. That's our organization we founded. I was the first one to teach Kiswahili in Ethiopia. Anytime you want anything has to do with Kiswahili, please join us. If you want to learn Kiswahili, if you want to know where it is Swahili food in Addis or Ethiopia, I'm the one to contact. If you want to know which TV, which radio station that have a Swahili program, I'm the one to ask. If you want to know where you can buy clothes, Swahili clothes, I'm the one you ask. If you want to know where you can buy food, Swahili food, and then you can go home and cook for yourself, you can always ask me. So there is so much information we provide for our people. Even if you want someone who can cook you at your home, Swahili food, maybe you want a maid or someone, you always ask us, so we can provide those information for you or anytime you want. So anyhow, thank you so much, brother Mika Chavara or Mika Chawale. May God bless you, and may God increase your knowledge on what you are doing.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, and amen to that. So, Mr. Imani, first of all, let me just say this. I have a great respect for you. Man, this guy right here, I think he should be paid by Africa, if it is not African Union, for the work that he's doing. He's doing tremendous, extremely hard work in Ethiopia. I've been there 4 times, and I've been with him. I've heard stories and all those stuff. So I want to appreciate you because you are the real definition of fighters. I'm wearing the t-shirt of African heroes, but I know a lot of heroes, they're living with us today. And I was telling somebody today that I wish we were talking about that when he was alive, when he was alive. But, when you talk after somebody's dead, then he's gone already. So I want to appreciate, because in Africa, when you say African heroes, guys, Yohani Imani, this guy you see right here is one of the African heroes. And I'm saying that with everything I got in my heart, because I know, you might not know it, nobody might not know it, but I know what this guy is doing for the continent, what this guy is doing for Africa, what this guy is doing for Africans. And he's in Ethiopia. trying to push the agenda of Kiswahili, trying to push the agenda of unity and oneness in completely different culture is not an easy issue. It's a difficult issue. So I want to applaud you and acknowledge you and say, brother, I respect you. I love you. And what you do inspires me a lot. And I know one day, if it is not today, tomorrow or the day after that, you will reap the fruits of what you're doing right now. Even our kids, they'll reap the fruits of what you're doing right now. So keep going, keep standing, keep struggling, keep hustling, keep shining, keep flourishing, keep succeeding. All right.
Thank
Okay.
you so much, brother. Thank you. Thank you.
I was trying to see if I remember all the vocabularies. Anyway, so my brother, I want us to jump to this topic because I really want to know from you, because I know different people might have different definitions of Pan-Africanism, what we talk about today. And I would like to know from you personally, what is Pan-Africanism for you? And if you can share a little bit of context of what you understand, you know, how it came to pass and all those stuff, I think it will be really powerful. So I would love to hear that from you.
Thank you so much. Yes, Pan-Africanism is something that people understand. Anytime you mention it, almost everyone has the way they understand Pan-Africanism. But obviously, Pan, which I will go over a little later on, it means everyone, and then Africa. So it means it's something that every African belongs to, or is something that is all Africa in general. In one sentence, if you say Pan-Africanism, it means, in the real definition, it means all Africans. And then, so now, as people who are Christian, I don't like to call myself Pan-African because Pan is actually a Greek god. A lot of people don't know about that, but
that's why, hey, brother, I didn't know that. But that's why, for me, I always say that people call me that, but I don't label myself. I don't call myself Pan-Africanism. I didn't know that.
Yes. Yeah, so it's a Pan. Pan was a goat god, Mungu wa mbuzi kwa Kiswahili, who was the god of everything and everyone. So that's the whole of the name of Pan. That's where it comes from. So I don't call myself Pan-Africanist unless I'm talking to the people who don't have enough information to understand. I always say myself, I'm African nationalist. So that means I believe in Africa, in the United States of Africa. That's what I always say. Yeah, so now, that being said, we already know the true definition of Pan-Africa or African nationalist. That's by definition. Now, what is the context? What is the meaning of Pan-Africanism based on the context of who does what or what that's supposed to mean? So Pan-Africanism is actually a idea originate from diaspora. People, if you talk about Pan-African, people may say, oh, Kwame Nkrumah was a Pan-African, he's the founder of Pan-Africa. No, not at all, no. Idea of Pan-Africa originated actually from Haiti, Trinidad, Jamaica, and the United States of America. Those are the idea of Pan-Africa is originated from that area. It did not originate from Africa. It's not Haile Selassie idea at all. In fact, when Pan-Africanism was founded by Marcos Garvey specifically, he's the one who laid down the true foundation and the practical way of Pan-Africa. So those Haile Selassie and Kwame Nkrumah, they were not active that time. They did not even have enough information about Pan-Africanism. They just picked that up and they make growing, but it's not the idea. They were just following, like me and you, who follow the idea of Pan-Africanism and put that together to make that happen. So now, what is a practical Pan-Africanism? Because if we don't look in this, we will always call Pan-Africanism a failed movement. It has been not a accomplishing movement, by the way. So Pan-Africa means Africa for Africans at home and abroad. and also race first. Okay, so if you are not African in terms of being black, you are highly not allowed to be a Pan-African, because this is the idea created for black people to be liberated, not for other race or other people to be part of it. So it originates, the original of idea of Pan-Africanism, it was Marcus Garvey. He wanted to liberate and to free black people at motherland and in diaspora. So that is pretty much what it is about Pan-Africa. Now, when it comes to how this is applied or how this works, so one, as I said, United States of Africa is the key number one for Pan-Africanism. I want you to think, each one of us who's listening, United States of Africa is the foundation of Pan-Africanism. Anyone who is working or doing anything that it does not involve on United States of Africa, that one is not a Pan-African. It's absolutely not. Hold on for a second.
Oh yeah, guys. We are having a lot of good things happening here. And guys, if you have questions, do not hesitate to drop down in the comment section, because we'll have time for questions as well, and we'll ask. It's a conversation. So even myself, I have some few things and few questions that I would love to add. And it's always good to have different perspectives, man. It's good. So it's good to hear Yohani sharing all this stuff. Yeah, welcome back, my brother.
Thank you so much. I'm back. I think you guys can hear me and see me too as well. Yeah, so I was saying that the idea of Pan-Africanism.
Oh, now we cannot see.
You cannot see me?
Yeah, it's dark.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
Now
yeah, so I was saying that the idea of Pan-Africanism originates from outside of Africa. It's not our idea, and we cannot do much about it, as or the only thing we can do is to take it and to develop it and to make it work. But there is some foundations or principles that we cannot move or change. That is why Dr. Umar Johnson, who is a true Pan-Africanist, if you listen to him, you will find out he's talking about exactly what was Pan-Africa in the beginning, from the beginning. So now, when we talk about how did Pan-Africa help and where did we lost it, because Pan-Africa actually, for quite a long time, it has been kind of lost. So the situation comes in when the people sorry for that. The situation came in when the Congress, Pan-African Congresses, they were organized from 1900. That's when we start to get. Can you guys hear me, right?
We can hear you loud and clear. We can hear you.
Okay, very good. So the first Pan-African Congress happened in 19th century, and then there is another one. I believe the last one where we lost Pan-Africanism agenda is the one happened in Egypt in 1964. That's when Pan-Africa almost died. Why is that? Because in the beginning, Pan-Africanism was for the people. It was the movement of the people. And then when African Union was created, Pan-African shifted to be a movement of governments. Okay? I hope you guys, you're tracking here, because this is one of the most difficult topic. When Kwame Nkrumah, Julius Kambarage Nyerere, who also Jomo Kenyatta, Marcus Garvey, Haile Selassie, Kwame Nkrumah, when they attend 1945 Pan-African Congress in Ghana, they were not in government. They were not. Even the one in England, Manchester, they were not in government. They were attending like you can attend Pan-African, or any other individual can attend Pan-African Congress. So when African Union was created, now we get shifted. Then now it becomes something that is about government. It's about African Union. It's about a country. It's about and so on and so on. So that's how we actually lost Pan-African. And now, last time I went to African Union and I asked them, hey, why don't you teach your employees Kiswahili as you do teach them the other languages like French or Portuguese and English? And they told me that you cannot bring your idea in African Union as an individual. You have to go to Tanzania embassy, or you have to go to Kenya embassy, and then they will bring the proposal or the requirements, and then we can start teaching Swahili in African Union. They say this idea is very good, but we can accept that. So that is how it goes. So from that time, you have lost control over Pan-Africa, in fact, and that's why obviously people don't even know anymore about Pan-Africanism. They don't know. They don't have any idea. They think it's just something that the bourgeoisies and the government, the politicians talk about. But Pan-Africa, according to Marcos Garvey, who actually created a movement, UNIA, Universal Legal Improvement Association, in 1922 all the way to 1925, this movement have so many chapters, so many branches in Africa, South Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, Liberia, Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, everywhere, all over the planet. And he was not a member of government. So Pan-Africa, by definition, no, by practice, is not a government movement or institution. Pan-Africanism is a citizen or people-centered ideology which is intended to free African people at home and in diaspora. But also Pan-African was in charge of making sure that Africa is decolonized, and also Africa is decolonized economically. That's what Kwame Nkrumah was fighting for. Also, Africa is united. United States of Africa is the key to the Pan-Africanism. I think this is one of the things we need to highlight every day. Let me tell you what is not Pan-Africanism. African Union is not Pan-Africanism. You believe me, you don't believe me, I can prove this to you, that African Union is a not Pan-African movement or Pan-African agenda. It does not have that, because even though it's called union, it does in chapter 3, the Constitution of African Union, chapter 3 chapter 3b, it said that each member of country, African Union is responsible of protecting the sovereignty of each member of a country in African Union, which means that African Union is actually here to protect the borders, artificial borders that we have in Africa that we were imposed by the colonizers. So that means automatically that African Union is not a Pan-African. It does not intend to bring or to unite us and to be one. So that is number one. Number two, East Africa Community or IGAD or ECOWAS or SADC, they are not Pan-African at all. Absolutely not. Because they are not working to have one passport. They are now working to have one Minister of Foreign Affairs. They are now working to have one money. They are now working to have one constitution. They are now working to have one military power at all. So they are not a Pan-African. What is the other institution do we have? African Development Bank. They are all of those. They are just making us to be late so that we don't focus on Pan-Africanism and so on. So I think so far, each one of you guys who are listening to us or who are watching or who will even be watching later on, you understand that Pan-Africanism, it has been lost its meaning because a lot of people are not actually following what it is really Pan-Africanism or what's supposed to be Pan-African. Kwame Nkrumah, who is the most high, I can possibly say the most of defender and the fighter in Africa continent, and Kwame Nkrumah, he said that we must, when the African Union was created, he said that we must have one Minister of Foreign Affairs, one capital, one passport, one military, in order to avoid neo-colonialism. And now, look where we are today. Colonialism has come back. We do have colonialism going on in Africa. Any African who is listening or who will listen, you can agree with me that we are educationally colonized. We are economically colonized. Our natural resources has been taken and without paying. So we still under colonization. I don't know if there is anyone who is asking any question so far.
Yes. My brother, you know, you gave a lot of knowledge about Pan-Africanism, and I believe for those who are following us along, they're learning that. But I want to ask you one question. You mentioned, I want to push back a little bit. The first time you mentioned about the history of Pan-Africanism and what the intends were, you know, when it was started by Marcus Garvey outside of Africa, and you said clearly it was basically created for Black people because of the environment that they were in at that moment. It's like me, if I'm Marcus Garvey and I see my people are going through hardship, I'll create something to free my people. I'll create something to bring my people together to fight against, you know, at that time it was colonization and a lot of things that were happening in that region. But my question is this: today, the Pan-Africanism we have today, should we stick with that? That is something that we continue to fight for Black men, that we only include Black men? Or, this is the question I want to ask you. Oh, today when you come to Africa, you realize that we don't just have Black people, right? We have brown, we have whites, we have Asian. These are people that were born long time ago in Africa, and they became part of this society. They are African. That's how they see themselves. Forget about those people who they're not seeing themselves, but we have people that we grow up with. We have, if they're Indians, if they are whites, you know, in South Africa, you have people like that who they consider themselves and they see themselves as Africans. And when you go to the northern part of Africa as well, you see a lot of Arabs as well, but they're Africans, you know, they're in this continent. So my question is this, that in this fight of fighting for the unity of Africa, is there a need for us to see this Pan-Africanism in a different perspective? That's why myself, actually, I was never calling myself Pan-Africanist. I always mentioned that. You know, I love the idea, I love everything, but I just don't like the labels, like to label myself. I would rather people just call me by my name, but not by these labels. But also because after you explain this, I realized that, oh, then I don't really qualify to call myself that, because for me, I'm talking about unity, and that unity I'm talking about diversity, that we have so many different diversities. We have, as I say, like different colors, but these people are African, and we have a lot of them even here in Tanzania. Like, for example, we have one brother, I had a conversation with him here, Fernandez, the founder of Nara, the Nara application, you know, money application that right now is taking over by the storm all over the world.
Yeah, I think people are listening to us. Definitely. Let me continue. I think I lost you. But you are saying that whether or not, okay, you want to continue? I see you are back. You are saying that whether or not should we stick with Pan-Africanism just based on Black people, and the other ones, maybe we should leave them out, or should we continue with Pan-Africa based on the only African or Black people? I think that's where you were asking about, right? Can you hear me? Yeah, can you hear me? You cannot hear me? Yeah, so anyways, I think I am. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. No, I cannot. I cannot hear you. I think. Yeah, continue maybe, then maybe I will come back in, but you can continue. If you can hear me. Mommy. Can you hear me now? Okay. Maybe it's my force, I don't know. Okay. All right. So anyways, he was asking me whether or not we have to keep this for Black people in general, or people of Africa or not. And the answer to that is that yes, we may need to try to do that because one, over to my microphones. Hello, hello, hello.
All right. What about now?
Hello. Oh
Hey,
yeah, you
hello.
are.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can
now
hear
I
you.
hear you. Yeah, now I can hear you.
All right. I don't know what happened. All right. So I'll continue to say. So I was giving an example of Benjamin Fernandez. You know Benjamin Fernandez?
No, I don't.
All right. This guy, he's the founder of NALA. NALA is the money application that right now people from the United States and Europe and other countries, they can actually send money to Africa with zero fee. This guy, he has an amazing fear of God. This guy, he's an African, he's Tanzanian. He has always been addressing himself like that. And when I asked him, what is the difficulties that you're going, because I had a conversation with him here, he told me that every time when people, they do not consider me as Tanzanian or as an African because of how I look. And that really struck me because when I talk to this guy, I'm looking at this guy. He's not the guy who pretends to be Tanzanian. No, he was born here. His family were born here. Maybe his grandfather, they moved here a long time ago. And this is where he grew up. This is where he studied and all this stuff. So he is Tanzanian. You can take an example of, we call them, African Americans. You can take an example of that. These Africans that their ancestors moved long time ago in the United States, so they were born there, they grew up there, they ate there, and we call them African Americans. They are Americans, but also they are Africans because of their heritage. So why I'm creating this analogy to ask you a question, that the movement purposefully, you said that before it was meant for that, but today in this context, so many years has passed and we see there's a difference, that we don't just have Black Africans, but also we have brown, we have and other races as well. So how can we reconcile this an idea of Pan-Africanism in today's context? And what is your stand for that?
First, I don't know. I want to share something? I don't know if I can.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Do you see anything I want to share? Can you share that? Can you put on the screen? Do you see anything I want?
Oh yeah, I can see. Okay. I'm putting it.
Yeah.
Anybody here, but I want to be absolutely honest now. Anybody in Africa who is not a black African is an invader or an opportunist or the child of an invader or an opportunist. There's only one African, and that's the black African. There is no other one. I don't care how long your people been here. They're not indigenous to this country. You are a visitor. And the problem with Africa, we're the only people who will let aliens come into our house without giving them rules of conduct. They will come to Africa and treat it like it's their own. Look at you like you don't belong there. Now, in America, we are a numerical minority. In America, the African is only about 15% of the entire country. We are a numerical minority. In the United Kingdom, a numerical minority. In Asia, in Canada, a numerical minority.
So, anyways, you finish back. It's finished. So that one is finished. I think you understand my points where I'm trying to make there, right? The point is that let me see, remove the studio. Yeah, so the point is that hopefully people are listening, they understand what I'm trying to say. That if you are in Africa and you are not black, according to Dr. Umar Johnson, and according to anyone who is a Pan-African historian, will tell you obviously that I don't want to bring Dr. John Henry Clark speech as well. Anyone who knows will tell you that anyone who is in Africa that is not black, whether you are an invader or colonizer, or you are a child of a colonizer, or you are opportunist, okay? You come to Africa because you are looking for opportunity. Now, what do you do when you have people like that? You know, some people don't want to believe or don't even want to talk about it. When we study at school, they don't teach us that those people who we call Arabs, they invade Africa on 6th and 7th century, and they conquer Africa, and they kill our people. That's why you don't see black people in North Africa. So, and in addition to that, I want to highlight this. People need to understand this. When we go to America, trust me on this, those people, they don't identify themselves as African at all. When you apply for a job in America, there's a place where you put. They don't say they are from Africa. Even those white people we have in South Africa, those white people we have in Kenya. Elon Musk, where is he from? He's not from South Africa, if you would say. But when he's in America, he does not identify himself as a South African white people or anything. There is not even that identity anyways. So for me, I believe that we must focus on ourselves if we want to go any further. Because when also we bring people in there in our group, trying to struggle, trying to liberate ourselves, the situation changed. Let me tell you another thing. How many black people how many white people or no Arabs have you seen get shot in America by police because they are Arabs or they are African? There is nothing such like that. So we are the target. We are the one who are struggling. So just because someone lives in Africa does not make you to be an African. Being an African does not based on where you live or where you are born. It's based on your DNA. It's based on who you are as your identity. It doesn't matter if you may say, okay, me, Mika Chavara, I'm not black, I'm not African. Well, you can say that. There is black people in America, they don't identify themselves as black people or as African, but all over everyone, all over the world, they know who you are. And they give you exactly the treatment that's equally. One time I was in India, and they saw me, they called me Nigerian. In India, if you are black, It doesn't matter if you're from any country, they call you Nigerian. Same thing to Bangladesh. In Europe, if you are black, they call you African. It doesn't matter what. They just say you are African. They don't care if you're from Gambia or you're from Zambia. They don't care if you're from Ethiopia or from Tanzania or whatever country you are from. They just call you African. In America, if you are black, they call you a Negro. If they are very, very being nice, they call you African American or Black American or something. But apparently, they just call you or they see you as a Negro. Okay, so the struggle is for black people. It's not for Arabs. It's not for Indians. It's not for Italians. It's not for white or English people. It's not for any other people. It's the struggle for Africa. We must liberate Africa as Africans and our natural resources. Now, what do we do with, for instance, Arabs? Who live in North Africa? What do we do with them? They are African. They are in an African continent. So you're not gonna say they are not African just because they are not black, but obviously they are not the target. Okay. When it comes to the problem we have as black people in general, globally, the problem black people have in Brazil, the problem black people have in Argentina. Argentina, by the way, black people has been genocided and exterminated. They have been removed off the map. Absolutely. Brazil in the 18th century, Argentina in 18th century has same equal population of black people as Brazil. But today, you barely can even find black person from Argentina. So the problem black people have in Haiti, the problem black people have in America, in the States of America, the problem black people have in Cuba, is black people have the problem. It's not Arabs, it's not Indians. So we must figure out and focus on ourselves in terms of how can we liberate ourselves. Now, we don't have to hate or to remove those people who live in Africa that are not African. Maybe later on in next maybe 20 years, we're going to have a lot of Chinese, African. We're going to have, we already have a lot of Syrians or Syrians. We have Pakistans. We don't have to remove anybody, but they have to leave us alone. We need to liberate ourselves. We don't need their help. As Mama Africa, the lady Mariam Makema, she say, white people anywhere they are, they lead, they govern. So if we're fighting for liberation and we include people who are not Africa by DNA, we're gonna lose. We are 100% gonna lose. I don't know if there's any question.
No. For me, I have something that I want to share there. So I think this is what I saw that video that you share, but this is where my opinion, I mean my view and the view of people like the one you shared or how you say it differs. For me, I see it differently. Yes, I believe what you said, Mr. Yohani, that the struggle of black men it's a lot. You cannot compare. When you have this skin, it's like you have announced to go through, hell in this world. We cannot argue with that. It's there. It's fact. We are seeing that again and again and again. Even last week, one black man was shot and killed again in the States. No, not shot and killed. Was beaten by the police, like beaten like a thief. And can you hear me, Yohani?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. It was beaten like that. So we can all agree that. But then my perspective of this fight, for me, I'm talking in the concept of one Africa, because that's the unity that's my mission. That's the unity that I'm fighting for. And you said very well at the end that everybody that is in this continent, whether it's northern part of Africa, those guys are Africans, because being an African or being like, okay, why we say we are Africans? Because this continent, it was named Africa. So people from Africa, they called Africans. It's just like, people from Tanzania, we call them Tanzanians. So Africans are basically people who are living in this continent of Africa. People who were born here, people who were raised here, people who they have heritage here. You understand what I'm saying? But also in the same way, you have people who moved here a long time ago. You have people who came here for different reasons. We say, like, some of them, they came for business. Some of them, they came, you know, for slavery. Some of them, they came for different reasons. And all these things happened, you know, a lot of years ago, and they still happen today. But they have their descendants in the country. They have their descendants in the continent. So today, if you go to tell these people who have been here for 100 years ago, who I Can you hear me right now?
Lost again.
Yeah, can you hear me? I don't know what is happening. You keep disappearing again and again. Okay, there are people who identify themselves as black. I met people who are not black in skin, but they identify and they're strong about Africanism. They're strong about Africa more than black. I've met those people again and again and again. And they're not people even that pretend to be this. And some of them, they're not even in the continent. What I'm trying to say that I think for me, how I take this, for me, how we are trying to build this one Africa, I include everyone that consider himself or herself as an African. Yes, we have African. You know, we talk about our brothers and sisters, like, you know, from this color, and we talk about the struggles and all this stuff. But I don't just stay there to victimize and to just lay down there. No, we talk about all these people that are in the continent that you guys, you have a role to play. For example, today in Tanzania, you know, when Magufuli started, I mean, when Magufuli was fulfilling a vision of, you know, Nyerere, the Nyerere Dam, you know what he did? He went to Egypt and he did some, you know, agreement with Egypt. And this dam has been built by Egyptians. These guys are Africans. They're Africans, and they're the ones that are taking these projects. What I'm trying to say is this unity we are talking about, it's very important to acknowledge one another, and not, otherwise we're going to have another different kind of like continent. We're going to want to divide between the, you know, northern part of Africa, that you guys are no longer Africans, you know, and then we divide, and the other side of down that you guys, because of the struggle like this. And I think we really need wisdom in this struggle, because at the end of the day, you know, today we might be crucifying descendants of people who they have done nothing. Like, for them, they've done nothing. They don't have any agenda. They simply love the idea, and they see what is happening, and then we're crucifying them for the sin that were committed by their ancestors long time ago. And I think in this is something that we need to be careful, because not everyone, like, for example, there are extremists. Anything extreme is good. There are people that when they just see white men, they already assume that this is the worst human being on earth. These are bad people. That's extremism, and it's very dangerous, right? And there are people who, you know, they can see, they'll be like, yes, I acknowledge that they are bad people. They've done this and this, and they're bad people. They're doing A, B, C, D today, but also they are good people. The world is full of all these people, even though finding good people is very little to find. So just to wrap up my thoughts, for me, what I believe and what I stand for all Africans. I stand for Black Africans. I stand for brown Africans. I stand for, you know, white. I stand for whoever, Chinese, whoever that they, I stand for them. As long as themselves, they identify, they respect, they stand. You know, there's no such a thing like whatever. You can talk about racism. You can talk about all these things. All those people are doing that. For me, I don't even consider them as my people. I consider you as my people, because you are me. You believe what I believe. You walk the talk. You say what I say. You speak my language. You do every single thing, and there's no difference between me and you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let me tell you that what you are saying, it has a lot of truth in there. For instance, I want to go back to early in the 50s and 60s when Pan-African movement was in the move. The president of Egypt, Gamal Abdel Nasser, the president of Tunisia, the president of Morocco, those, I'm just saying those, they are Arabs, okay? That's what you call them today, Arabs. By the way, you know, Arabs are were black. So they are Arabs, but they were in Pan-African movement. And they were very, very strong to have United States of Africa, compared to, in fact, more of other betrayers like Felix Bufanya of Ivory Coast and the leader of like Madagascar, who were bought by France to just destroy the idea of Pan-Africanism. So that being said, you understand absolutely that Arabs have been playing the role of Pan-Africa. And don't forget Muammar Gaddafi, the last, possibly, not the last, but the second to the last Pan-African hero. So the idea of Pan-Africa in North Africa or in Arabs world is very, very strong. It's something that is very possible. Okay, it's something that is there. Even today, we have African or Pan-African people who are in those countries. In Morocco, you know, the argument was raised last time when Morocco was playing football, that is this African and so on. So yeah, you know, but we have also to be very, very careful because we can be betrayed. We can be as Black people, I saw our people, we don't have confidence in ourselves. So if anyone who is not Black comes in our group, we lose the idea, the confidence. We lose the mind to, like, the position to make decision. We lose it. So, but I believe that Arabs, even though they conquer Africa in the 7th century, a lot of people, they know that. Those who don't know, they may need to read, and they have damaged a lot of things for Africa, but they are African. We cannot deny that, and we cannot exclude them in the movement. Absolutely, that would not be it will not be good idea. Absolutely, it may be successful, but it's not a good idea because they are ours.
You know, what you say, it's really important. I just wanted to add one thing little quick, because even us Black, we have done a lot of damage against each other. A lot of our forefathers here on this t-shirt, Sankara, you can see, and others, Lumumba, they were killed, crucified because of Blacks, because we sold each other, because we betrayed each other. You just mentioned Felix, the leader of Ivory Coast, you know, because we betrayed one another. So I was able to, you know, to be maybe with Arab or to be with European, just because I can get a piece of land or I can get a piece of silver, and I'm ready to sell my people out to be killed. So when we're talking about this bad ship and all this stuff, we have to remember that even us, we are bad towards one another. We kill one another. Today, even in Africa, you find, you know this, like albino and normal Africans, even normal Africans, they're being racist toward albino. Albino, you know that. And there was a time that people, they were cutting that, like, their hands because of superstition, and some part of the body of albino just for superstition reasons. Here in Africa, it was happening. And these are our African brothers and sisters. That's why in this year, Imani, one of the words that I'm strongly going to be talking about and sharing is loyalty. Because you say these are the Africans, we don't love each other, we don't protect one another. Because Africa, we don't have loyalty. Africans, we don't have loyalty toward one another. When I say that, I'm talking about us as Black. We don't have loyalty to our race. We don't have loyalty to our people. And so we don't support one another. We don't stand there for one another. And we just keep blaming that, oh, because of that. But what do we do to our people? And that is the big issue that we have. Yohani, if Blacks, they were supporting, if they were standing with you, you wouldn't be living the life you're living right now. I wouldn't be living the life I'm living right now. But we don't have that support. Like somebody will look at your vision and will be jealous of your vision and trying to jeopardize it. That vision, it may not be successful, rather than standing with you and supporting you in your vision. Because the whole thing that we're thinking about, most of the time we think about, you know, the fame, we think about our name, we think about this guy, how much money they earn, oh, this and that. That's what we say. And how can we pull each other's down? When are we going to support one another? When are we going to stand for one another? How are we going to condemn others if us ourselves, we don't do good to one another? You don't have to hold a gun to kill me. You can just kill me by not supporting. You can just kill me by the look. You can just kill me by selling me out, by being disloyal. So I just wanted to add that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're touching very good important point, and I have put that on lists. The reason why Pan-Africa has been a failing movement, it is because our fellow Africans, we keep betraying the vision. We keep destroying the vision, and we are miseducated people. We don't know about ourselves. We don't know what we really need. We don't know what is going to help our future. We don't know what we want for our children. We only know, most of us, what the specifically Western and now even progressive, even the Chinese and the Eastern are coming in, but we only know what they want us to know. So according to what you just said, based on why we don't have loyalty to Africa, why don't we have loyalty to each other? Why don't we have loyalty to our continents? The fact is that, one, we don't have enough information. Our information is lost. We do not have information about Africa. Number two, we praise people who we should condemn. People who has betrayed Africa, we praise them. We give them credit, you know. For instance, who is a Pan-African? The only definition based on is people who want United States of Africa. I want you guys to understand me, because if we don't get this is the most important, clear information or topic or part of Pan-Africa that has been lost so many times. Let me tell you the truth. If someone wants the country Cameroon to be the best country in Africa, that does not qualify that individual to be a Pan-African. This is one of the problems as African we have. So the sake you fight for the economy of one country in Africa, one country, and then all Africa will call you a Pan-African. That is not a Pan-African. That's just, you want to hustle for your own country. You want to make your country the Singapore or Dubai of Africa. On any cost. If it means to distract or to steal or to take materials or to betray other countries or the other leaders, you just want that. That is not a Pan-African. It is absolutely not Pan-African. Now, let me give you the true definition or the true people we have on record to be Pan-African. And those people, they have fought to unite African people, either in outside of Africa or inside Africa. Those people are ready to leave the power, or were ready to leave the power in the case of United States of Africa. Those are the people who we call Pan-African. Please, don't you bring someone who built his own country or her own country and say, oh, that's a Pan-African, or someone who planted a lot of trees in Africa and you call them Pan-African, or someone who fought for whatever it is whatsoever, and then of course fighting colonialism. It was something that anybody should have been done anyways. Even white people should have done that. Nobody should allow apartheid to take place in South Africa, and because it's unhuman. Okay, that does not qualify to be a Pan-African. That qualifies to be a human. If you fight apartheid in South Africa, it makes you to be a human. It does not make you to be a Pan-African. So we have to understand this, because I see so many times people celebrate. We have good people, we have good leaders who are committed to their own countries, but that does not give them the seed to be Pan-African. Okay, It does not. We need the problem we have. That's why people betray each other, and then nothing happen, or they don't support each other, because we praise people we should be condemning. We don't support people we be supporting. So, for instance, if you talk about Marcus Garvey was ready to die for Pan-Africanism. He was ready to die to unite African people anywhere they are. That is a Pan-Africanism. But Du Bois, why do you bring Du Bois in the situation of Pan-Africanism? He's the betrayer. He's the first person to betray Black people. The reason why we are suffering is because of him. With his all WANCP, whatever it is, organization he created with white people, it's controlled by white people, or employs white people. Joe Spingard, he was the architect of the organization. He's created this bure, which a lot of people don't even know about, that it keep Black people down forever, and then you call him Pan-Africanist. You call him someone who we should be honoring. Absolutely not. He's a betrayer. If it was not Du Bois, Marcus Garvey could not have been in jail. He could not go in jail, and his life could not have been destroyed. So you cannot call Du Bois a Pan-African. Now, same thing. Mr. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was a Pan-African. He was ready to give the power. He was ready to go home, to unite Africa. He already started a federation between Guinea and Ghana, between Congo time of Patrice Lumumba, but they removed him. That's why he was quickly removed anyways, because he was a true Pan-African. Now, you don't call Mandela a Pan-African. No, he's not. He's a good person. He's very, very good for South Africa. But there is no one single place Mandela ever say, okay, me, I will live to be a president of South Africa so that we can unite South Africa with Zambia, or we can unite South Africa with Botswana. There is no way. I found that in the record and tell me. Mandela was a good leader. He liberated South Africa. We honor him, but it does not give him a credit to be a Pan-African. Pan-African, where did he fight to unite Africa? Tell me one place. Nowhere. Nowhere. So why do we call someone who just want to fight the good for South Africa, we call him Pan-African? For what? That's not the unity. This is to keep South Africa, the border of South Africa is you promoting colonization. The borders were put there by colonizers. That's why we keep fighting country with each other. Let me show you. For instance, Julius Malema is a Pan-African. If he get on power, he would definitely remove those borders. That's a Pan-Africanism. Haile Selassie, he wanted big, strong Ethiopia. He does not want United States of Africa. If he wanted, tell me where. Show me. I have all the speech of Africa Union, creation of Africa Union. Everyone who speaks, I have that in my phone. I read over and over again. There's no one single place Haile Selassie say we need to unite Africa. No, he said we need to fight colonization. That's true. Everyone fight colonization. We have to liberate Africa. We need to free all African countries. That was his idea. And is it true? It was good because we need to be decolonized. But there is no one single place he said that at least we need to unite Ethiopia and Kenya. No one single place. So why do we call someone like that a Pan-African? He don't fight for United States of Africa. He doesn't. And people still want to call someone like that Pan-African. No, he's African Ethiopianist. He wants a strong, big, developed, powerful Ethiopia. Haile Selassie, Kwame Nkrumah, he begged them. He told them, you guys, if we do not unite, neocolonialism will come back to us. And there will be coup d'etat in your countries. And he said that. They did not listen to him. And guess what? After less than 10 years, all of them, they were removed on power by coup d'etats, by neocolonialism. So now, I hope this make clear. Sometimes I get very, very angry when people are calling leaders who did nothing for the United States of Africa. Gaddafi was a Pan-African. He want to do that. He spent money. He spent all resources. He create anything he can to bring Africa together, to unite Africa. That's a Pan-Africanism. But don't tell me that Paul Kagame of Rwanda is a Pan-African. Jomo Kenyatta is a Pan-African. Jomo Kenyatta, he refused to unite Tanzania and Uganda and Kenya. He refused. Nyerere, Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere of Tanzania, he went to him and said, can we please at least unite these two countries to be one? Me, Nyerere, he said, I am ready to go home. Butiama, I'm ready to go home if we can unite. And Jomo Kenyatta, he refused. Jomo Kenyatta, he only want to liberate those Kikuyu people. He's not a Pan-African. He's just a Kenyan nationalist. He fought for colonization. Is good job, good idea. We support that. He should have it in. Everyone should do that. But that does not qualify him to be Pan-Africanism. If there's any question, ask me.
Yeah, I want to ask you. I want to ask this. I love the passion that you're speaking, and you lay down really so many important points. I think sometimes you're not ready to talk about. So I appreciate that. But I want to ask you this question. You've spoken about Haile Selassie, and I'm asking this question particularly because of OAU. So OAU, you know that the headquarters were there because according to the history and what we heard, that's where he gathered pretty much all people, all the leaders of Africa to come to Ethiopia, to Addis Ababa, and they formed OAU. OAU was like, what's the long term of OAU?
It was the Organization of Unity of Africa. Organization of Unity of Africa, or Africa Union, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's they started there. And for me, according to what I hear, a lot of times the founding fathers of that, it was of course Nyerere, it was Nkrumah, it was Haile Selassie was there as well, and I forgot the other names. All of these, they were the founders of OAU. So when you say that he's not Pan-Africanist, what can you respond to this? Because they found AU that we see today. They found OAU, including Jomo Kenyatta was there as well. There's that famous picture of everybody, all these different African leaders together. So what would you say for someone who knows that and is there, is out there, and that is there as well?
Definitely. Now let me tell you something. As I said in the beginning, if you remember, I said that OAU or African Union is not a Pan-African organization.
Yeah, you say that. You mentioned that.
Yes, I want to repeat again. African Union or OAU and whatever name was before and what is today is not a Pan-African institution. Absolutely not. Let me tell you why.
Yeah, okay.
Number one, African Union have and is and still a failing institution. It has not fight to unite Africa, as I said in the Constitution of African Union. It says, chapter 3, verse B. You can read that. The institution is there to protect the border or the sovereignties of each member country. That is the institution, that the constitution of it. Forget about that. Let's leave that alone. African Union, from when it was created in 1963, it has led African countries to be separated. You guys, Ethiopia itself, as Kwame Nkrumah told Haile Selassie, he told him that you will have a problem with this neo-colonialism. Eritrea and Ethiopia has been separated. Ethiopia is not at ease even today. You go in South Sudan and Sudan, they have been separated. Somalia is in 6 countries now. There is a Somaliland, I already saw they have passport. So if it's unity, if the name is practical, why are we keep dividing? Cameroon, French colonized and the British colonized is in the brink of being divided. Congo is almost been divided because of Eastern Congo, as you know. Nigeria, the Biafra, and so on. So what have African Union done? The path of continuation of colonization, which is the exploitation of Africa by France. What have African Union done about it? There is so many things I can talk about. Even the chairman, Musafak, he's from Chad. Last year, I believe it's the last year, the president of Chad was assassinated. Idris Deby was assassinated. African Union did nothing about it. It's not a Pan-African organization. It is absolutely the combination of French and the English-speaking people coming to fight inside Africa. African Union has been promoting those two languages until today I'm talking to you. So African Union is not a Pan-African institution. It will never unite Africa at all. Now, how was this created? By the way, Professor Lumumba, he called African Union bulldog with no teeth. Okay, and someone I hear there is someone big person who said that we should dissolve African Union. So African Union was created between Casablanca Group and Monrovia Group. Monrovia Group is white people or European manipulated group. It was reading by Felix Bufani of Ivory Coast. France gave him so much money to create the chaos, to interrupt the plan of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. They give him money. Then he created this Monrovia Group. The Casablanca Group, which was United States of Africa now, he lost. Haile Selassie was in Monrovia Group. Nyerere was in Monrovia Group, but he changed later on. He saw that he has been deceived, and then he changed. He said, I'm sorry, Kwame Nkrumah. You can read this in the speech of Nyerere in Ghana, Accra, 1997. His speech, Africa, no unity, there is no future for Africa. That's the name of the speech of Nyerere. He said that, I'm very, very sorry, Kwame Nkrumah, I missed that. So my point is that African Union, the creation of African Union, it was the loss. This is when we lost completely the control over Pan-Africanism. As I said, from before that time, Pan-Africanism was in the hands of citizens like me and you. We could contribute to Pan-Africanism. Anyone who could come in and contribute. But from the creation of African Union until today, you cannot contribute. Your ideas. If you have any idea you want to contribute to African Union, it has to go through the government. And then the government will send the request. And then they will look at it, and then they will prove it, or they may not prove it. But as you know, and everyone knows, African Union, it does not function. They killed Gaddafi, and African Union did nothing. How do you call this a Pan-African thing? It does do nothing. It does not even have its own budget. Forget about anything. It does not have its own budget. It does not pay anybody. So creating African Union does not make you Pan-African. In fact, you should be ashamed of creating something that is not function, and he did not even protect Haile Selassie himself. Now, I know people not going to love me on this. I definitely know that. But I want to tell you that Haile Selassie was not a Pan-African. He just want to be a big emperor and someone who want to be having big country, Ethiopia, economically, military, and so on. But he was not interested in to bring back Djibouti, which is Ethiopia, by the way. He was not interested to bring Somalia back. He was not interested to bring which country? Sudan. He was not interested to unite Ethiopia and Kenya. He was not. Show me, if you oppose my comments or my statements, anyone who opposes this or will oppose this, show me one single place where Haile Selassie say, okay, I'm ready to, at least maybe even if anyone will come and we unite, me, I'm ready to go home and leave this so someone can, we can have federation. Tell me one place with any one single country.
Let me ask you this, Johan. So
yes,
right now we have these borders. All right, this is my thought. I'll tell you my thought, what I'm thinking. So in this year, I already share 3 things that I'm fighting for. The first thing is visa on arrival. And the second thing is one passport. And the third thing is one Africa, of course, because if you have visa on arrival in all African countries, that whichever country you want to go today in Africa, You get a visa on arrival, you get in. As long as you're an African coming from African country, you can go anywhere, visa on arrival. That will loosen up a lot of restrictions and also even take away some costs, some crazy costs that we have. You have to apply for like a lot of dollars, and you have to apply for like 1 month before, something like that. So this is one step towards that unity we want, because if we want to achieve that unity, and we have been very comfortable for so many years, for over 60 years, being separated, live like the way that we live, like this country, that country. And you have mentioned here so many countries that have been divided, even one country, even they want to be divided more. So in order to protect that, once we have visa on arrival, that will bring us to somewhere, because it will allow people to move here and there, to understand one another, to learn the culture about each other. And then we move to One Africa passport, because if we have visa on arrival, why not having the One Africa passport? Why not having African Union passport, which is already exists? They have it, like it's there in the African Union. People are working there, and leaders, they have that passport, and they already introduced it before, and they said it's gonna come, but it never came. So that's another thing. And then Africa's unity. You have visa on arrival in all countries. I wish we don't have, but again, you cannot just open the doors like that, because there's so many things, so many chaos might happen. It happens even today, but there should be a system that can support people to move here and there. So we go slowly. We start with this, all right, and then we go here, and then eventually, doors will open, and we'll be able to get where we want to go. So in that matter, I'm building all these things to add to this point. So in that matter, I want to add is that, because the way that you're explaining Pan-Africanism to you, it sounds like, okay, if you're Pan-Africanist, then you have to remove all these borders, and you have to like Somalia, Ethiopia, Djibouti, Eritrea, it has to be one country again. Which at this point, what I see, the best way that could work for us, the effective way that can work for us, is that those borders that we have, we believe, that's what we're trying to preach, that we are one Africa. These borders, they were initiated by somebody else to separate us, to divide us, but we are one people. You understand? We are one people. We don't have, this is what I believe for me, I don't have today to change Tanzania to be Kenya, or Kenya to be Tanzania. These things have been here for a long time, and people, they got used to all those stuff. Yes, they can still be there, but they should not limit us from uniting one another. They should not limit me to go to Kenya, that I need to go to find a visa and to do this and this. I know I can go there without visa. In East Africa, all these East African countries, we don't need a visa to go in all these countries. As long as you are Tanzanian or you're Kenyan, you can just go there. You take your flight, you go there. With your ID, you go. You can go to any country here. We can do the same thing in Africa once we have African Union passports to build that. So I'm saying this because I feel like it might not be fair to say that, okay, because you didn't fight for this country to be, to be one country with you, that country to be one country with you, then you're not Pan-Africanist. Because I do believe that a lot of these reasons that have divided us, it's of course because of tribe, because of religion. In Nigeria, talking about Nigeria's religion, they want to separate between, Islamic states and other and Christian states. They want to do that because people are still killing each other every single day. People are still, shedding blood. The best case scenario is for people to understand that, hey guys, you're African, regardless of your religion. You're Muslim, you're Christian. You guys are one people. You should not kill one another because of that. That's the best case scenario. But if these people, they're not going to stop killing one another, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, Johan, if you're a president of Nigeria and you see these people are killing other people just because they're Christian? They're killing one another, and you preach whatever you want to preach, you say whatever you want to say, but these people are not ready to receive that message. That no, as long as you're Christian, you have to be Muslim, I'm gonna kill you. Or as long as you're Muslim, you have to be Christian, I'm gonna kill you. If that is the case, then we need to find the proper solution that can work for both of us, at least for our people not to be killed. That all right, if you guys you want to do that, I hope you don't do it. But if that will be the only choice, the only way to stop killing your fellow neighbors, oh, we're going to have to take that risk and to do that, because everything that we've experienced right now is because of the delaying of Africa's unity that our forefathers were preaching ever since independence. I mean, you spoke about Nyerere. Nyerere, before fighting for independence, he wanted to fight for the unity before independence. Like his suggestion, it was for all Africa to come together, to unite, and then to find independence together. But they refused. So they decided to fight for independence, each country fight for your independence, and then they said after that, let's fight for Africa's unity. That's why Kwame Nkrumah, that Ghana was the first country to receive, and then all of a sudden after that he started, his message was still the same about Africa's unity. And so many countries, the last one was South Africa, and also and all those stuff, and you can see like that struggle. For example, when you talk about Mandela, the struggle for South Africa, it went too long because it was the last country to gain its independence. So because of that struggle for too long, Mandela, he had to fight for his people, because at that time, nobody agreed to fight for Africa's unity before independence. So they wanted to fight for independence too. And since South Africa, South Africa, that even Ethiopia, Haile Selassie supported Mandela when he went there. He didn't have documents. Nyerere supported Mandela when he came to Tanzania, and he didn't have those documents. So when you look at our old leaders, you can see the cooperation, the oneness they had. Here Tanzania was like the center of Africa's unity, because Frelimo, this is the political party of Mozambique. The headquarters of Frelimo, it was here in Tanzania, and their leader was assassinated here in Dar es Salaam. They came here because this was the center to fight for independence. Why? Because that was the suggestion of Nyerere. Let's be together one and then fight for independence. So when Ghana gained their own independence, all of a sudden the shift changed to fight for one Africa, and that's what Kwame Nkrumah did, and other countries, and Tanzania, and the same thing. That's why you see, even that meeting, it happened the way before even Tanzania gained its own independence. It happened while we were still under colonization, but these guys, they were not even leaders. They met and they were speaking about Africa's unity in Ghana. What am I saying? I'm saying this because at that time, the struggle, it was that okay, what is the priority? Priority is to fight for Africa's unity, and then we can battle in colonization together. I think that would have been really wonderful, the suggestion of Nyerere, because that would bring us so strong. We'll be one and we'll fight together as one. Like, okay, today we're going to fight South Africa. All of us, we're going there to kick those people away. Today we're going to Ghana. Boop. Today we're going to Tanzania. Boop. Today we wouldn't be struggling with Africa's unity, because we'll have one story shared. Hey, we fought together for the independence. But at that time, everybody decided to focus on their countries. They did that, and even after gaining independence, everybody continued to focus on their country. So it was even more harder to do it. Today, my point, what I'm trying to say is this, that is a big, my contribution that I'm trying to say is this, that for me, I believe even OAU and OAU, the way it was initiated, is not the same as the way it is right now. Right now, it's not the same. That's what I can say. But the OAU, it was initiated with good reasons. It was initiated with good vision. It was initiated to fight, of course, to fight for the people. As the days goes on, this thing is changing, and you see that you can feel like, okay, and I know the solution. I know the solution. I already suggested, and I tagged even African Union today. I know the solution, because it's a hugely part of African Union. It's funded by them. So if they fund them, that means they control. Whoever feeds you controls you. You're not gonna be able to do anything if who is feeding you is not you. So the solution is us Africans to fund African Union to work for us. Because once you fund, then you control it. Like, we control it. We demand them to do the work they want it to do. We are the bosses. We want them to do the work that we want them to do. If that is not going to happen, then we cannot expect for AU to work for us, because money is coming somewhere else. Gaddafi was supporting AU. A huge amount of money was given to AU, and he is gone. And you know what happened? He basically, betrayed, for whatever that happened. Because I don't care how bad you are, but man, as long as you're an African, we have to stand together. We have to stick together. We can punish ourselves inside, but we cannot sell you out to other, you know, to the Westerners. We cannot do that. That was the biggest mistake Africa made, and will continue to pay it. And today, Libyans people are paying it because of that. I don't care how bad you are in Africa, but we as Africans, we can hold you accountable. But we cannot sell you to other people who are not even Africans to kill you. So what I'm saying is, these people, they contributed a lot. AU of that day is not AU of today. Those meetings, that meeting you saw in Ghana, basically that was basically like this topic they were talking about. And later on, they decided to start, you know, to start this organization to bring the people together, to bring the leaders together. And I hope that momentum, it would have continued even better. But the same spirit that Nyerere asked for, guys, let's fight for Africa's unity before independence, and they refused. The same thing happens today. Some leaders are like, oh, we have a lot of problems of our own. We need to fight this before, you know, fighting about Africa's unity. I care about my country. I need to fight for my country. And there's nothing bad about that, to fight for your country. So for Kagame, who is fighting for his country, there's nothing bad of that. He's fighting for his people. He's fighting for Africans because his people are Africans. So that's good, because it's a matter of priorities. But people like me and you, we understand that, guys, the true freedom is not going to come just by fighting for your own people, because you're still in Africa and your neighbor is still struggling. And even you, one day you're going to struggle if we're not uniting together and fight together. We know that, and they know that, but they choose not to pay attention. And I'll say this, some of them, they choose not to pay attention because, my brother, because they don't see a hope. If you have 54 leaders in Africa, let me ask you this, how many Pan-Africanists do we have? How many those leaders who are fighting for Africa's unity? They say we want to see one Africa.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So because of that, everybody says this. Everybody says, okay, you know what? I'll stick with my country. You know, I'll fight for my people. Because when you find those people fighting for Africa, and we know most of them, they don't last long. So they say, oh, you know what? I was chosen to be a president of my country. Let me do this. So the system, from the very beginning, the system was cracking. And today we are paying the price because of the decision we made a long time ago, 60 years ago. So what can we do now? Today we have you, Yohani. Yeah. We have Yika here.
Yeah, so let me I'm sorry, maybe I may cut you off, but let me tell you, my friend who's listening to us, that the idea of going progressively, like in a progressive way, is not going to work. It's just not going to work. To have to open borders, to have visa free or visa on arrival, and then we move to one passport, brother, that is not going to work. Absolutely, it's not. Think about it. How do you think Rwanda, Congolese will give visa free to Rwandese? How many years is it gonna take? According to your assuming, how many years do you think Congolese will give free visa to Rwandese? Or how many years do you think? That is just conflict-wise. Now, how about we had like, let me give you an example in Tanzania. Since you are in Tanzania and you are Tanzanian and you know about this, there was East Africa community visa, which is about to include all countries in East Africa. And because the best interests of Tanzania was not considered, Tanzania said no. And then that visa is still working in Rwanda, Uganda, and Kenya only, because each country is fighting its own to get their own best interest on anything. So how do you think you're gonna get people to have visa on arrival or other these countries unless you unite? There is no way. And there is one thing people do not understand about unity. When we talk about the United States of Africa, it does not mean the country or the name Tanzania and the culture, the traditional, the developments, everything is squashed and then it's finished. No, it's gonna continue, but at least under the umbrella of Africa, the economy of Tanzania will be able to compete with other countries outside of Africa. Tanzania itself cannot compete with China. It cannot negotiate with anything. The Tanzanian money cannot come and beat European Union or British money at all. It's not gonna work. So the only way, if we have United States of Africa, that means the money of Tanzania, which we will have one single money, one single currency, we will be able to actually fix that. So, but obviously, we must be able to understand the fact that one country, oh man, my camera is dead. What?
No, it's okay.
So one, yeah, let me see. Let me bring my FaceTime. Yeah, now I'm back. So one country cannot be able to be accomplish anything. How are you gonna fix? You said about religion. We don't even have big problem in Africa with religion. The big problem we have in Africa is the conflicts of ethnics. Each country want to be divided by ethnics, and so if we're gonna divide our country, our continent by ethnics, that means Nigeria is gonna have 250 countries inside, and Tanzania is 120 something, 23 countries inside. So it's not gonna work. So the United States of Africa is the point to start from. It's not the point. It's not something we can reach to progressively, like we make this step, and then we do this step, and then we do this step. No, we're not going to do that. It's not going to work. There is no way. First of all, we already have our own conflict or problems inside as Africans, and then we have another conflicts or problems outside. All of those, they don't want us to unite. They don't want us to stay down. So no, brother. This idea of having one passport, having one visa. First of all, we don't need a passport in Africa. We don't need a visa in Africa. My mom, she don't need to have a visa at all to come to Ethiopia. She don't need, because she don't even know how to write. First of all, who make our passports? How do you want to have a passport that is not made by African?
Yeah, wait. I talk about that, Yohani. I want to wrap this up because this is going to be continuously conversation. This Pan-Africanism is just this first day, but we need to continue because there's a lot of things to talk about. So we're going to continue again next week. Please keep that in your calendar. But what I want to say with that, my brother, this is what I say. I say this. When our forefathers fought for independence, I always say this. And, the white men decided to bring back independence. They said, we are giving you independence, but we are giving you the system of passport and visa so that you may not, whenever you want to cross, you go to Kenya, you need to have your passport and your visa. If you don't have, you don't go there. It's the system that initiated by them for us to continue to stay separated and divided. So today, brother, we must be realistic in this fight. Myself, my organization is One Africa, and it's because I saw that there's no really solid something there outside that is fighting for that One Africa, and it's from the bottom up, from the people, from the underground. But we need to be realistic. I want to see that One Africa in our generation. But my brother, with the governments that we have right now in Africa, you cannot tell me that today we'll tell them that Africa, all of us, let's be together, let's not have passport, not have visa, and they will say yes. It never happened. It's never gonna happen. That is impossible. That's why I'm saying that Ethiopia, they tried, they did visa on arrival. All African countries were going to Ethiopia at the airport and get the visa and get in. I witnessed one day this one Korean guy, he went there and he didn't have visa because he thought he's gonna get on that, but that guy was returned where he came from because he didn't have visa. But Africans were able to go there and get visa on arrival and to get in the country. Is there everything okay and fine for people that are not from that region? No, but they tried and it's working, and it does for them. It does for Africans there. They did. What if Tanzania do that? What if South Africa do that? What if Kenya do that? What if Morocco do that? That instead of applying visa for because right now you're applying visa for 3 months, you wait to get your visa. But this process has to go step by step in order for us to get to that. Because Africans, we don't trust ourselves. We don't trust each other. That's why we still have visa restriction. In order to go to another African country, it's like you're going to outside of the continent, but it's just your neighbor because we don't trust each other. You talked about Rwanda and Congo. They don't trust each other. But how can we build that trust? The trust is built slowly. These guys, they need to reconcile. Literally, like Congo and Rwanda, they need to reconcile. And how can they reconcile? It's between these two leaders, the leader of Congo, the leader of Rwanda. Because these two guys, if they come together, they're part of the East African community. People will come together too, because I'll tell you the truth, my brother. People on the ground, they actually love each other. They hate politics. They hate what is going on, but they actually love each other. I have conversation with them here all the time. That, oh man, like I don't hate them, but I just hate what there's so many ideas that are inside the herd that people, when you ask them that, okay, so what's the evidence you have about this? They don't have, but there's a lot of things that we have in our mind that is this and this. So if these two people do truly that come together, then we can solve that issue, because that's the only thing we need. That's why when I'm saying that visa on arrival, because this is the step, my brother. It's a step. You're not going to say that, okay, today, just come without visa. You're not going to do that, because in Africa today, you know that. We say this before. Africans can never be illegal migrants in the continent. You cannot even call them migrants. They are Africans. They're not immigrants. They are Africans. But today in Africa, when somebody crosses without passport, without visa, we call them migration, illegal migrants, and then we put them in prison today in Africa. So in the system like that, if we want to be realistic, we need to go step by step. If we start imposing visa on arrival, forget about applying 3 months ago. You want to come to Tanzania today, you can come, you can get your passport, get a visa and get inside the country. We'll go step by step slowly to build trust among each other, because that actually is not just a process of visa, that's the process of uniting Africa. Because how do we unite Africa? By opening up the borders, and this is opening up the borders for you to be able to come to pass by, for you to be able to come and to do your business and to leave. That's opening borders. That is one Africa. To have free trade in all countries of Africa. You come to Tanzania, you don't need to have like 200,000 USD to start your business because you're not African, because you're not Tanzania. You don't need to have like, okay, in Ethiopia, 200,000 USD to start your business. You can start with whatever amount of money you have and start your business and connect our people. Just by opening up visa on arrival, you have no idea how much these countries are going to be connected, are going to be united. One passport, because that's the system that we still have right now. How can we make it use the system we have of passport? Oh, instead of having like 54 different passports, why don't we have one common passport that it will introduce us with one name, that I am African and this is my passport. When I go to Egypt, I meet with someone from Egypt or Ethiopia, we have the same passport. It says something about us as a people. It brings some synergy and energy about us as a united people, that this is what we share. And if I want to go to your country, I go with this passport and I get visa on arrival. It's a system. Slowly, later, my brother, you'll find yourself after a couple of years, you find yourself that, oh, we don't even need that, because it's like, okay, you want to go to South Africa. It's like leaving here Dar es Salaam and go to Arusha. You understand? Or leaving from Arusha to go to this. So that's what I meant in this process, that when I sit down and I'm thinking about, okay, what can we demand our government to try? Oh, we can demand that, why don't we open up visa on arrival for African countries? Why don't we do that? All these 54 African countries, why don't we do that? You African Union, why don't you do that? Because we need to keep those guys accountable. Why don't you do that to open up the borders? Why don't you already initiated African Union passport 2008 and 6, and you say it's going to come to us 2008. Why it's not there? These are things that can actually be done. If we ask for them, if we demand them, it can happen, and it can change the dynamics of what we are going through right now. So this is leading us to that a unity of Africa that we have. Like this, the same thing that we are fighting for now, it is uniting our people. Like we are uniting our people psychologically, you see, emotionally, and even physically. Because if you have an access to come to my country and you don't have restriction, I'm uniting you with my country. Do I make sense?
You make sense, but you're forgetting one thing.
Yeah.
One is that if, for instance, you mentioned a very important point about what should we ask our governments? What should we ask our leaders? Let me tell you, you don't need to ask your leader to remove a visa or to give visa free or visa on arrival to Zambia or to Malawi. Because if you do that, trust me on this, the next government in Zambia or Malawi, once the other government comes in, they may remove that. So whatever efforts you may ask, it's not guaranteed that it's going to remain there. But if you would ask your government, why don't you guys unite with Mozambique or Msumbiji, as you guys are saying in Swahili? Why don't Tanzania unite with Mozambique? Because once it's united, at least you have insurance that even your children have insurance that they will not need to ask any visa or anything. For instance, if you want to go to Zanzibar, there is there is no government is gonna change that is gonna make you to ask visa to go to Zanzibar. So why don't you ask the right information, the right thing, more than asking something that is gonna be temporary and it can even have a lot of problems in any time, in any given time. So I think what you need to ask is, why don't Tanzania unite with Zambia or Congo? Fully united, like having one military power, having one police, having something like just big, like more than just being a member of East African community. Why don't you ask that?
Johnny, that's what is happening right now, because in East African community right now they're working on the East African community currents. We are going to have one currents. They're working. They already have actually one army. One East African community army is there. It's one of the strong superpowers in Africa, East African community, because all these countries that you know in East African, you don't go by visa. You don't need a visa to go there. It's completely united, because now they're moving even with what? I mean, I've seen there's some materials, man, like it's really promising. And that's why I think it is possible to African Union as well, because if East African does that, ECOWAS do this, SADC do this. You know, Tanzania is part of SADC as well. That's why we go to South Africa without a visa. So for us, we have more advantage. We can go to South Africa, go to other countries without a visa because we're part of SADC and we're part of EAC. These things are possible and they're happening right now. Like in East Africa, we're basically united. It's one community because we don't need visa. Our passports, I can go with my passport or with my ID card. If I show that I'm Tanzanian, you pass. You don't need a visa. You just need to go. I mean, these days they want all this, corona test and all this stuff. So you need to go with your certificate and all this stuff. But it's basically one, because the only thing that right now they're working on is a single currency, because we're still having multiple currencies. So it doesn't really make sense. What is East Africa if we don't have the single currency, right? Army is there already. And of course, we're not perfect, because you look at Rwanda and Congo. They're both in East African community right now, and they're still struggling that. Right now, they're talking to Somalia to come in East Africa as well. And my hope is Ethiopia will come as well. And the whole side of Horn of Africa, because that's the eastern side of Africa, come in the organization. And this is one of the ways that you break all these borders, because if you don't have visa, you see, brother, there's so many countries in East Africa that you don't need visa. When you go to ECOWAS as well, there's so many countries there you don't need visa to go to another country. You don't need visa to go to Nigeria, to Ghana. So what you're saying is true. It's happening, and that's what we are demanding. That I'm asking myself, why we cannot open the borders like that. And right now we already have this small community that we open up the borders already. Why we cannot do that? So you made a very valid point, that why asking for visa on arrival, and that is a temporary solution, and not asking for a unit of Africa, open up the borders. And you reminded me about Zanzibar. You said something very important. Nobody's going to ask you for a visa there. You just go there, you show your ID, you go, you enter. Oh, them, they come, they show the ID, they come, they enter. So you said a valid point. But when is that going to happen? Because that's the question. We've been fighting for that for over 60 years. That's why, for over 60 years. And that's why, in order for this to work, that's why we are fighting for one passport. Because right now in East Africa, we have East African community passports, and it's very strong, because that's the one we're using to travel everywhere. East Africa, I don't know if they have like West African community passport, I don't know. But here we have it already, and we travel everywhere with that. So having African Union passport, you'll be able to travel everywhere in Africa with that passport. So just the same way, like is EAC is working, that could be in the whole continent of Africa. And it is possible because EAC, it shows that it's possible. At least this is one of the strongest communities and is doing something, to be honest. They're very organized.
True?
They're very strategic. Yeah, they're very strategic, and they implement it. Sometimes I'm wondering, I'm like, why it seems like there's actually, yeah, there's a fight. There's a fight between, you know, again, Western and EAC. It's always there. You remember like Ugandan pipeline and all those stuff. Anyways, but Yohani, what I'm trying to say is this conversation, we're not gonna end today. This is the first day. Please, let's continue this conversation next week. Let's continue this conversation next week, because the reason why I love this conversation, because me and you, like, we don't agree in everything, but we have conversation. We talk with points. Like, you have points, and when you touch me, I'm like, oh, my brother, yeah, you're right on that. And I have points when you touch you, like, oh, I agree with you, but you understand what I'm saying? So this is the reason why I like this conversation with you, because we can have authentic conversation like this.
Yeah.
So what do you say?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. One, the reason why we'll continue next week, I have not talked anything about Swahili language at all. And I also have not talked about spiritual liberation. As you know, definitely those who are bound spiritual, who are in bondage spiritual, you can never liberate them physically. So you have to liberate them spiritual as well. In fact, I'm thinking maybe to start a spiritual YouTube account where I will be only focusing on spiritual aspects of who are we as Africans, why things are like this is spiritual, what's happened to us spiritual, you know. So yeah, definitely maybe next week I will focus on Kiswahili language and Pan-Africanism. And then maybe other time I will focus on spiritual and how should we liberate our people spiritual first before we even think of unity. Because if we are not free spiritually, even if we unite, we will also again fall in parts. But back into your points, the only difference between me and you, we agree that we have a situation, we have a problem we need to address. But the only difference is how do we gonna address that? Because it seems like you believe maybe progressive unity. That's what you believe in. That's how I think you think it will work for you. But me, I am actually how do you call that? It's now. I want that now. I just want that now. Yeah, I want that now. There's nothing. There's nothing I will ask any leader in Africa except the United States of Africa. There's nothing. Nothing at all. I will not ask anything. I will not ask food. I will not ask anything. I will ask only, if you are a leader of Africa, why don't you unite you and your neighbor country? That's the only thing I would ask. I would not ask you free visa. I would not ask you free trade. I would not ask relationship or diplomatic relationships or economic developments or African continental free trade area. I would not talk about none of that. Why is your country not united with the neighbor country? That's the only thing I would ask.
Yeah. My brother, I want unity right now. That's why we have this campaign since last year. Hashtag One Africa in Our Generation, because we want it to happen right now. Like right now, right here. Every single minute goes by, people are dying because of that.
Yeah. And the more, because the reason why your way progressive is so bad is because we have seducers. It opens a give gap to the colonizers, to neo-colonizers. They are here already with us. So you creating, do you have a space to create to them to come inside, you know? So this idea of going gradually is good, because obviously maybe people can look around and fix things very well, think very well. But it is so bad because our adversaries are so growing. They are increasing. Okay, back in 1960s, we didn't have to worry about China. But now, to worry about China too. Back in 1960s, we didn't have to worry about maybe Russia. Russia was facing their own problems. So Anyways, I don't know if you got what I'm trying to say, but I think we need it now.
Yeah, Johanny, I got it, but I think you got it wrong from me, because when you say progressive, like this is what you mean. What I understood, that okay, visa on arrival is one thing, and then one passport, and then finally we have one Africa. That's not what I mean. Like, what I mean is we want one Africa, and if we want one Africa right now, how do we do it? Right now, we want one Africa right now. How do we do it? I'm looking at EAC. How did East African community become one? Became a country of free visa. You don't need a visa to go to these countries. Now you don't even need a passport. You can have your ID and to visit these countries. How did they do it? They have a East African community passport. And now, when I go to Kenya, I say it's home. When Harmonize went to Rwanda, Jews, they say, this home. You go to Burundi, you say the same thing, because you're like, oh man, oh, you're Tanzania, oh man, welcome, yeah, East Africa, yes, we're East Africa. That's the sense we have, because we have that common identity, that passport, that we see it and we're like, oh, it reminds us, oh, we are East African community, yeah, we're here. So when I'm saying like having visa on arrival or having one passport, I'm not meaning that this is the process towards that unity, but I mean that this is the unity itself. This is unifying our people. Like, open up those borders, give people a sense of a feeling. It's more than a feeling, but give people something that will hold on to, they'll hang on to, and they'll be like, this is the unit of Africa. Today, man, I'll be so happy if I have African Union passport, because I'll hold it and I'll be like, this is the unit of Africa. This, because through this, a little piece of paper, the system that we're using right now, I can go anywhere in Africa with this and pass, just because I have that, and be like, I just show it here. Oh, pass. Oh, pass. Oh, pass. That's what is happening right now in East Africa. And that unity, that's why I'm saying that unity is the progressive thing. Because right now in South Africa, yes, we have the community, but you know that there's a lot of things that we're still dealing with, because, of the policies that built these nations are different. Even traditions. Africa is very diverse, my brother. We have more than 3,000 different languages in Africa. Just in one country, like a country like Nigeria, that have more than 300 languages. Here in Tanzania, more than 120 languages. And in different countries, some other countries don't have that. We are very diverse, brother. Here in Africa, there are people living here, Africa, they go to Nigeria and they get culture shock. It's still in Africa, but you get culture shock when you go to another country. You go to South Africa today, you find that tribe that they dance, those ladies dance completely naked and they're virgin. We were talking about this last time. If I go there and I see that, it's a culture shock, because I haven't seen it, in my tribe. Maybe in another tribe, like even here, not even South Africa, even in the same country. If I go to another tribe and you see some things they're doing, you might get a culture shock. This in Africa, this is how diverse it is. So uniting the culture like Africa, that there's 1,000 and different and multiple, it's not as easy as it seems. And that's why they've been struggling for 60 years. The people really wanted it to happen, Kwame Nkrumah and all these guys, that they were vocal. They wanted it to happen. It didn't happen because also you have people who are jeopardized. You have people, they say, this will never happen. This can never work. Some people say, this has to work now. Oh, this can never work. How do you build a balance in the society, in the multicultural society, in the people that they're not ready? Like when you just name, like, this is Swahili nation, they're not even ready to come to open, because they say, hey, this Swahili, this East African thing. I'm not from there. I'm from West Africa. I'm not even going to open and watch this thing. I don't want to be associated myself with Swahili thing. How are you going to unite those people, East and West, if that is how we see each other? Then that's what I'm saying, that when you do this, psychologically, it does something to people's mind. Like, to my brother, like if for me, if I come to Ethiopia and even you, there was a moment people saw you and thought you were an Ethiopian, maybe because you just wear Ethiopian clothes. They look at you, they're like, it happened to me when I was there. Some people asked me in Amharic, and I was like, no, I'm Asaganalo. They thought I was Ethiopian because I was wearing that clothes. You see what is happening? So that cloth is the passport I'm talking about. That passport is there. It's a reminder that you are an African. And this is your identity. This is what brings you together. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that we should start with visa, we'll go to one Africa. These things can be even sometimes when I share one Africa, and then I share, one passport, and I share a visa on arrival. It's things that can be, shuffled. But not only that, these are things that, like, it's a journey. It's a journey to that one Africa that we need, United States of Africa, as you say, that we need. And every single decision we make, it actually adds something to that unity. That's what I'm saying. It's like one big piece of cake, and we're adding, some stuff there. This. I understand that right now they're not going to be able to make all these decisions, because some of us, we have very selfish leaders who do not care about Africa in general. They only care about their countries. They care about money. They care about that. We have those, but also we have good leaders who they truly and they want this Africa to be liberated. That's what I'm trying to say. That men, and in this fight, we need you, we need me, because you understand. Because we need a balance. We need a balance in this fight. We need you, we need me, because you represent a certain group of Africans, and I represent a certain group of Africans. So how can you unite between me and you? We need a balance.
I think that one is that we African, we have to understand the idea of countries and our nature ourselves as African people. When most of the time I'm focusing on Black people specifically, we have a nature of loving power, and any system that we put in place that will not challenge anyone who can love power is not gonna work that far. So you talk about East Africa community. We have this passport today, and but who knows, if one leader say, okay, me, I want to be in East Africa community, but I don't want this passport. I want my country to have its own passport. What are you gonna do with it?
You're not gonna be accepted. You're not, because they have.
Okay, so you see,
that's why the countries that are not. I mean, because it's the rules and regulation that they place for themselves. It works for now, but it doesn't guarantee that we're gonna have East African community passport for the rest of our lives. Because right now, I say this, that right now, you don't even need passport. You need your ID, your country ID. So even if you get rid of passport, you will still have your country IDs, which by wherever you go, you have to show, oh, I'm from this country. Yeah.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is that the power that is held by a certain country in East Africa, they have veto, they have power to decide on some of the stuff, and any leader can come in and decide on anything. As I was telling you about the visa in East Africa visa, that Tanzania said no, and then Burundi followed. So the power that we need to understand that, because if we are not fully united, each single country still have its own kind of sovereignty inside. It doesn't matter how long we go, it will cause problem. That's what I'm trying to tell you. For instance, you may say, if, for instance, if a member of East Africa community, some a leader, as you see, there is Museveni who's been in power forever. So what will happen if someone overthrows him? So how do you gonna handle that? Because we are not fully united. What does East Africa community is gonna do about that? And if someone overthrow him, and then the one who comes and say, hey, you know what? We not even wanna be part of East Africa community. Forget about that. This has been like supporting Museveni, and he been on power for 30 years. So what do you guys gonna do? What do you think East Africa community is gonna do? So that's why I'm saying, in order to close those doors, those potential intrusions, horse intrusions, we need the United States of Africa. We need at least to start with the United States of Africa in one area. Just fully corrupt. If it's in East Africa community, we say it's the United States of Africa in East Africa. So that means we need one passport, we need one money, we need one phone code, we need one currency, we need one military power, we need one constitution, so that there will not be any overthrow things. There will not be this ethnic conflict. Congo and Rwanda will always have conflict because there is a Congolese who are not accepted in Rwanda. There is a Congolese who are not accepted in Congo to be original citizens, and there is also a country next to Congo, not only Rwanda, by the way, Burundi too, and Uganda and South Sudan and Angola sometimes, I think even Tanzania too. They all want to steal something from Congo. You know, they can use anyone. So the only solution to the situation in Congo is in a sense of Africa. If Congo is united with Rwanda, there is no need in Rwanda to go to steal anything from Congo. There's no need from Congolese to those who are originate or who are who find themselves in Congo, but they speak Rwandese language. There's no reason for them to be like, to feel like they don't have identity to be Congolese. They will not be necessary because we have now one in a sense of Africa in that area. So I think whether in either one way to another, this is the best solution to African either economic colonization, educational colonization, and this ethnic conflict we have among ourselves, and this religions also you said we have, it's not that big, but it's there as well. The solution is in essence of Africa.
Man, the religion thing, man, it's crazy, brother. It's crazy.
It's very big. I don't know. Where I am is not very big, so I don't know.
Just in Congo, just here in Congo, just like 2 Sundays ago, the church was bombed, completely bombed, and people died there. I have pictures, I have videos, straight from the pastor. Just 2 weeks, like 2 Sundays ago, it happened. And then after that, another, my brother. And when you go to Nigeria, oh man, these things are not even on the news. Follow up with Nigeria.
No, news is tired of that. They are tired of reporting
follow
that.
Yeah, follow up. So religion, it's a big thing. It's a big thing in Africa. It's, yes, there's ethnicity. I mean ethnics. But when you go to the north, when you go to some certain, even here in Tanzania, not here in like mainland, but when you go to Zanzibar, you see something. You see something. There's a lot of restriction. So many. You cannot. There's some places you cannot pray loud. If you're a Christian, you cannot pray loud. Like that is the rule. If there's an owner of the house, you are living in this house, you cannot pray loud. If you pray out loud, you'll be moved from the house.
Oh, really?
Churches there are persecuted. This is not something like that. I'm saying something that is really happening, and I know it's happening in Zanzibar.
Yeah.
This is religion issue. So
there is.
And it pains me, it hurts me, because I'm like, man, guys, religion, this is God, right? You guys believe in God, right? Whatever God you believe in, the God I believe in don't want this to happen. So I don't know if we believe in different gods. Yeah, we could be believing in different gods because there's so many gods out there, but the God I worship, do not accept that. He wants unity, he wants peace, he wants love. No matter who you are, no matter what you believe, I love you. I'll tell you if something you're doing is wrong. I'll tell you in love. But yeah. But you know what, my brother, we'll talk about this. I mean, in the coming weeks about religion in Africa and all this stuff. And for you can, because it feels like the way where you are, you don't really see that. So you need to go maybe to check it out. Some places, and then one day when you have that conversation, it'll be cool. So next week, I think, we'll be talking about what we have. Of course, we have, Swahili thing, and I have so many questions about that. And also we have another thing you talked about, what was it?
Spiritual liberation.
Yeah, spiritual revelation, which I agree with you 100%. And also religion, thing. I think these are kind of things we need to talk in Pan-Africanism. So my brother, let me appreciate you so much for today.
Definitely.
Thank you for your brain. Thank you for your knowledge.
I was very harsh.
No, my brother. We need these kind of talks, and I know people might be offended. People might be hating on it, but we need this kind of talk. Because no matter what, it's better people to talk than to stay silent. You see, it's better people to talk than to stay silent. Oh, it's better people to talk than to be silenced. Leave people to talk. So it's very important, and I love that you share your thoughts. And next week we'll be back here to talk about more topics. So let's call it a night, my brother.
All right, thank you so much. May God bless you. Mungu akubariki. Mungu ibariki Afrika. Mungu wabariki watoto wake, wake kwa waume. Tutaonana wiki ijayo. Ulale salama. Kwa heri.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, asante. Kwa heri.
Yeah. Well, God, we thank you for this meeting today. It's been a beautiful day. And even right now, as we finish, we thank you for the conversation. We know that it will be of help for a lot of people that will be listening to this. So until next week, for this conversation, give us your strength, give us your power, give us your love. In your precious name, Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen. Guys, I love you. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.